Today I'm going to be showing two things. Number one, a way to use the new Allflame Ember of Flesh, aka Meatsacks, to get loot explosions like you're seeing on the screen right now. And number two, a pretty consistent Scarab farm using the Allflame Ember of Propagation. Just for complete transparency, the Meatsack strat I'll be showing off is not extremely practical and is more showing off what you can accomplish with it when you get the right memory altars. But when you do get the right memory altars, man does it feel good. The other strat is just consistently good, and there are some awesomely weird use cases for it also, like this one where I paired the Allflame Ember of Propagation with the Essence Scarab of Adaptation and got this loot explosion. Both strats will require a pretty decent build. The build I used is a hastily thrown together Kinetic Blast Wander. I think I put like 300 divines into it, and a good chunk of that was Progenesis and Nimbus. And with this build I was able to do this strat mainly due to the Headhunter buffs. Headhunter is kind of a cheat code for both of these strats, but if I died and lost all of those buffs toward the end of the map, I would not be able to kill the super juiced rares, so it is pretty difficult. I put this maybe a bit below the hardest strats in the game, like 5 times risk and blight, but it's still pretty hard. So let's get into it, starting with Meatsacks. I tried looking up Meatsacks and propagation strats on YouTube, and almost a month into the new league, I couldn't find a single video on them, so I decided to do a deep dive into both of these Allflames and figure them out myself. I'll always share what I find and do in this game, so consider subscribing, I'd appreciate it. Anyways, I tried Meatsacks on its own, Meatsacks paired with propagation. I tried using the Scarab of Divinity for conversions, and in the end all of them sort of worked out the same. The majority of their Meatsacks would drop a few thousand gold, maybe a couple scarabs, 80 alterations sometimes, but rarely anything useful. Take into account that every magic and normal Meatsack is essentially removing actually rewarding packs from your map, it seemed like this was a complete loss, and a complete net negative. You were paying for worse loot, you were using your scarab slots for worse loot. However, there is a way to get some crazy loot explosions through the Meatsacks, and that is through tier 16.5 abilities. First off, the less reliable one, the Memory of Familiarity, which is 200% increased quant or 90% decreased quant, and have all non-unique dropped items be of the same type. I only managed to make this ability work once. Granted, I only ran it like a handful of times, but the one time that I made it work, this is what happened. Okay. It worked, I guess. The setup that I used there was percent scarabs rolled on my map. I opted for 90% and above. I think that one rolled 120 something percent before putting it into the map device. 2 Allflame Embers of the Flesh, 1 Nemesis Scarab, 1 Allflame Ember of Propagation, and 1 Betrayal Scarab of the Allflame. I cleared the map, killing everything, and applied the memory ability to every rare Meatsack that I saw, and this one had that Scarab explosion. The craziest thing about the Scarab explosion, this Meatsack only had like one added modifier from the Propagation Allflame, essentially meaning that I could have gotten this exact Scarab explosion without using the Allflame Ember of Propagation, which means that at the prices of Meatsack Allflames and Nemesis Scarabs, you could sort of just chuck them into your memory threads for not that much money and roll the dice for these explosions fairly cheaply. On the flip side though, if the Allflame of Propagation had stacked more modifiers on him, you can often get like 20 plus modifiers onto a rare Meatsack, then who knows how big that explosion could have gotten. So that's one way to get the explosions out of your Meatsacks. The second way, which is smaller but much more consistent, is the Memory of Disbelief, aka monsters cannot drop items that have rarity, and this leads to a bunch of explosions like you've seen, like you're probably seeing right now. Apply it to all the rare Meatsacks, and the more mods the Meatsacks get through the Propagation Allflame, the bigger the explosion. And that is essentially how you can make Meatsacks actually rewarding. Everybody's sort of given up on them, as you can see by the fact that the only person buying them is buying 5 for 1 chaos, but with those memory abilities they can be very good. Like I said at the beginning though, this is not practical and is mainly a showcase of what is possible, and I said that because 16.5 maps are expensive. It's like 70 chaos for a favoured one and half that for random ones, so burning them is not an option. The abilities are also rare enough that you can go many maps without finding one of the two, and then there's an added layer of RNG with the 200% quant ability. There is somewhat of a way to make this strategy practical though, if you do want to try and get some of these explosions, and that is through running it through your own memory tears. Since this strat doesn't need a good layout, memory tears are perfect for eliminating the cost of the map. Since those maps are free and the boss altars will also work extremely well for this strat. I'd actually argue that this strat probably gains the most from those altars. More scarabs, more currency, increased rarity and quantity, rare monsters are possessed, additional chance for another memory petal skill, and the elusive +1 to 2 modifiers to rare monsters are all boss altars that would be incredible for Meatsacks, but even then you would still be at the mercy of finding one of the abilities that I mentioned. Now I'll talk about an actual consistent strategy that you can do, which is propagation farming without Meatsacks and tier 17s. Again, for this one I tried multiple different variations. I'm going to be talking about two. One very simple one that uses sort of the scarabs that you'd expect, and then one sort of out there version which I have a feeling has some crazy hidden potential, but I'm not sure if I'm the guy that's going to find it. First off, here is my wealthy exile. These are all like every single tab is a different strat. It was 200 divines. Throughout each tab there is 0 uber fragments included. These are the two tabs that are important. These are the two different strategies. This one's adaptation and this one is adversities. It isn't filtered that great, so you can maybe take off a few divines for that, but it's still very good money considering how cheap the investment is. I'll start with the more interesting strat first, which utilizes the essence Scarab of Adaptation. Now we don't actually care for essences, we care about the line at the bottom that states that the monster has increased reward for each essence modifier on it. When combined with the base of the strat, which is tier 17 Fortress or whichever one you prefer, rolled with 90% plus Scarab percentage, and ran with 1 times the Allflame of Propagation, Betrayal Scarab of the Allflame, Nemesis Scarab, Adversity Scarab, and the Essence Craft, the idea is that you will have 4 imprisoned essence mobs in your map. You kill the 3 that have the least amount of essences on them and keep the one that has the most, and you clear the map fully and you come back to an imprisoned essence monster with like 20 plus modifiers on it, hopefully, which is further buffed by the essences on it from the adaptation Scarab. That setup led to the low explosion you saw at the start, which I'll show again here just so you know what's possible while doing this, but most of the time the explosions are a lot more mellow. However, having the consistency of imprisoned mobs eating up the rare mods from the propagation Allflame, so you can build up one large rare mob without the threat of accidentally killing it, and then having the possibility of the explosion I showed you definitely makes this strat worth talking about. You might want to even drop the essence craft and just keep the one guaranteed essence from your Atlas tree. The downside of that is that you're often stuck with an imprisoned mob with only 2/3 essences, which means you don't get as much use out of your adaptation scarab, but it is what it is. There is one major downside though, and that is if this adaptation scarab combined with the propagation of flame ends up being some secret sauce, adaptation will shoot all the way up past the 5 chaos that it is currently at right now. As for the price of everything, the last time I checked, the fortress maps are like 100C, but you sort of make that back from the fragments. This is like 4 for 1 chaos, this is like 2 for 1 chaos, this is like 2 for 1 chaos, this is like 5C, and I bought these at 10C each, but if you wanted to buy them outright right now, it would be like 17 to 28C. This is the tree that I used. It is very similar to the tree for the next version that I'll be talking about, just with the essence nodes taken. I'll save the full deep dive on this tree for the next strat, but this version will be linked in the description below. And finally, the last thing I'll be talking about is just a solid, consistent propagation strat and the loot that I got from it. We run tier 17s. Again, I chose Fortress. You can choose whatever you like. We roll for percent Scarab. My threshold was 90%. We run Propagation All Flame, Betrayal All Flame, Nemesis, and 2 times Adversaries. And we run the Settler's Craft this time for Bismuth ore. The idea is that the propagation all flame, instead of consistently making one large mob or a few large mobs, will sort of disperse evenly throughout the bulk of the rare mobs that we've added, and then you've got yourself a very consistent scarab farm, very similar to adversaries and divinity farming. There's no crazy secret to this one. Like everything else I've talked about so far, you just clear the map and enjoy the scarabs that you're dropping from all of the more than usual juiced rares that you're killing. One thing I will say, why are we rolling for more scarabs and not more currency or additional modifiers? Well, we don't run more currency because this node right here, it mega juices our rares to dropping scarabs more often than not, especially when combined with the propagation Allflame. And as for the additional modifier mod, it's terrible. I did like 20 maps with that mod, and on average it took like 35 chaos to find it when rolling, and then half of those maps didn't even have a currency or scarab multiplier, so it's not worth specifically seeking out that mod. But if you do roll one with a good amount of scarab slash currency on it, then of course that will be a very nice map to run. And this is my tree. It is sort of a very generic quant slash modifier reducing tree with a couple of notable things. Number one, these are the nodes that I'm blocking. There's been a lot of talk recently about if blocking nodes just stop the scarabs from dropping, or also boost the odds of other scarabs dropping. From what I've seen, heard, and experienced personally, I do believe it boosts the odds of other scarabs dropping. That's my understanding on it. I also take settlers. I am a massive settlers advocate this league. I truly believe that these 3 points here into Bismuth Infusion are the best 3 points that you can spend on your tree in the game for a lot of strats, especially when combined with the Settlers craft. For this strat specifically, finding a Bismuth ore and adding 1.3 modifiers to some magic and rare mobs in your maps is insane, and even just the monsters around that ore that it spawns drops a good amount of loot. And this node over here is the best node you can take. It enables the entire strategy. Do not miss it. Again though, outside of that, generic stuff, we take shrines, map modifier effects, scarab percent, quant, eater of world altars for scarab dupe, currency dupe, and quant altars, and we take the increased chance for 16.5 maps up here. This tree will be linked in the description below, and I'll try my best to make the description as informative as possible also. I'll end the video with a quick example map. It's a little bit rolled above average. You can see right here, just the tree. I'll just hover over it all real quickly. What you're going to see with this is just a good amount of scarab drops and nothing crazy. If the propagation Allflame goes all the way up because this video, it really shouldn't. It's kind of correctly priced in my opinion. You can buy it for like 15c outright, or you can put in a trade, a buy offer for like 10c and wait a bit. And I think that's a good price for it. Maybe there's something there with the adaptation scarab again, or yeah, the adaptation scarab. There might be some crazy stuff there, and maybe it'll shoot up with people hunting for those Meatsacks that I showed earlier on in the video. This video was mainly to get across what you can accomplish with the Meatsacks, and then on top of that, a solid consistent farm for propagation for those who are wondering how to use them, because there's really, I don't know why, people aren't making videos this league. It feels like a lot of the videos are stuff that was kind of already known. I think the Blight one was, the Blight strat was kind of the main thing that wasn't completely in everybody's minds. But outside of that, it kind of feels like a lot of people just didn't really try with the Allflames, or they did try with it, but they figured out that it wasn't crazy and they didn't decide to make a video on. So people who want to know, you know, is this good, is this bad, how do I use it, how do I not use it, you know, they struggle with that and they can't really find that information, so that's why I'm making this video. But you can see as we get towards the end of the map and as we get all those propagation rare mobs, we're dropping a lot more stacks of scarabs, which is pretty good. This is probably a slightly below average map. I think in the 120 or so maps I did with all the different variations of the strat, I dropped like 20 containments and 7 catalyzing and all of that, which is pretty great. So it won't be like a tinker map, but you will get it fairly often. I saved the essence for last just to have that one mob that's very juiced up, since that's what I was saying earlier on, but this isn't the adaptation version of the strat, so it probably won't drop much. If anything, it's just a little bit of gold. And that's pretty much the video. I'm not going to go over loot in a Google Doc, since this video was more showing concepts and informing everybody on the way to run these Allflames rather than a 30 div per hour strat sort of video. And the video sort of trending on the longer side, and I like to keep my videos around 10 minutes long. But before I end the video, I do want to say the support I've been getting has been sort of crazy this league. I've seen all the comments and I genuinely appreciate every single one. From those who are saying that they love the videos that I put out, to those who are saying that they can't understand me because of my accent, I appreciate every single one. I'm sort of Winding down for the league, I think I have a few more videos left in me, but I truly can't express how grateful I am. I'll probably actually start streaming soon. I'll probably stream the next PoE2 league just to get used to talking to my computer, and then stream the next PoE1 league. So if you're interested in watching the stuff I do as I do it, my Twitch will be linked in the description. And if you got this far, I appreciate you watching all the way through.